Now, if you ever find yourself in a position where you have to turn your filter off, it's really important that you don't just turn the filter back on again if it's been off for a day or 2 days or whatever. Because what happens is when the filter's not flowing, then the good bacteria inside the filter is not going to get oxygen. And then if the good bacteria in the filter doesn't get oxygen, then it turns into bad bacteria and it will release all sorts of toxic gases such as hydrogen sulfide. So giving the filter a good empty and flushing it with a bit of fish tank water is what you want to do to make sure that the hydrogen sulfide is not going into the tank. And then the very best thing you could do is chuck some of this in. So this is called polyfilter, and this will remove the hydrogen sulfide and any of those bad gases. And what's happened in this tank while this has been off, while the tap has been ordered and replaced, is some polyfilter has been put into the tank, and that is a very, very good idea because the nutrients from the fish, as it builds up, is going to get collected by the polyfilter, and this has started to discolor, which means it has started collecting nutrients. So having a bit of spare polyfilter on hand is a very, very, very good idea. It comes in very handy when things go wrong. So what we're doing now is flushing the filter. So there's water draining out of the tank, going through the filter, and then going into this bucket. And it's really important that we flush this filter because we don't want any of the water still in the canister, which will be full of hydrogen sulfide gas because this pump has not been on. So once we've sufficiently flushed it, we can then attach it and put it back on. And then we want to make sure we leave this polyfilter in there. I'd be leaving that in there for at least a couple of weeks because the polyfilter is going to be the best thing as far as making sure you don't have any gas issues because the filter's been off. Now, because I removed some water to flush the filter, I need to return the water back to the aquarium again. Anytime that I return the water back to the aquarium again, there's 3 tests that I want to be interested in. Now, I checked the KH and it's currently about 3. So that's okay for these fish, so I'm not too stressed about that. And I checked the GH and that was near 0. So I'm gonna add some extra GH to raise that. And I checked the pH and that was slightly alkaline, so I'm quite happy with that. So all I'm gonna do now is add a little bit of this, and in a perfect world, you'd wanna retest that in a day or so. And you really want this level of sort of 8 or 10, and at the moment it's closer to 0. And make sure that anytime you're adding new water, you're definitely putting a water ager in there. So they're the things I want to be conscious of every time that I add new water. Otherwise, slowly over time, your GH, KH and pH can go out, which will eventually be a problem. Easily remedied. If in doubt, bring a sample of water down to Majestic Aquariums and we can point you in the right direction.